Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Saw or Jigsaw discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest fan questions when it comes to the Saw series, something that's been lingering around for a bunch of years now, and I'm really going to do my best in order to explain what I think actually puts this into perspective and makes it all make sense. Of course, today we're going to be talking about, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, how did Hoffman understand or know that Amanda was helping Cecil? How did he know about that relationship? And how does he know about Amanda being there on the night that Gideon was killed in Saw 4? And really, if I'm going to break this story plot detail into the bare essentials, one of the things we just have to realize is that Hoffman himself is a detective. And one of the things the series goes through in painstaking detail to show us and even tell us, literally breaking the fourth wall in Saw 5, is that Hoffman is a detective. He is the type of person who goes through great length in order to not only cover up his tracks, but to learn almost everything about the people that he's trailing and how to get away with everything that he's doing. Given everything that we've seen in the entire series, to just assume that Hoffman, being a detective, was able to understand not only Amanda's past, but Cecil's past and put everything together, especially after he learned that John was in fact Jigsaw. And for a lot of people in the fandom, that explanation just simply doesn't hold water, and I completely understand why. The thought of Hoffman just simply figuring out that Amanda and Cecil were in some kind of a relationship and she was the one who pestered Cecil into breaking into Jill's clinic overnight and thus leading to Gideon's death sometime down the line is just kind of a little bit too out there, even when it comes to the Jigsaw mythology, especially when you have a character like John Kramer who just simply happens to know and understand everything that's going around in the entire universe of the series. And to me, that is the ultimate explanation of Hoffman's letter to Amanda. And one of the things that I believe that they've confirmed throughout the entirety of the series, at least in the commentary tracks with the producers, the directors, and the writers. Quite simply put, Hoffman did not know about Amanda's involvement with Cecil. In fact, John was the one who told Hoffman to write the letter to Amanda in order for her to find it when he told her to look for it, and thus giving her the ultimate option. Would she listen to Hoffman or would she listen to John? And the very fact that she listens to Hoffman proves to John at that particular moment in Saw 3 that Amanda was not worthy of his legacy and not worthy to actually carry on the title of Jigsaw. And just to give some clarification here, it was long since said in various different commentary tracks throughout the series that yes, Hoffman wrote the letter, but John knew about the letter and he instructed Amanda to actually go read it in Saw 3. Now, I guess you can interpret this in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I've looked at as a fan over the last couple of years is that I really think that John was trying to entice Amanda to go to another game or was trying to set up a game in some real way. But one of the biggest roadblocks there, at least for me as a fan, is that John is the type of character who understands and knows everything going on around him. He's not one to be surprised by anything, and it's hard for me to believe, given everything that I know about the series, that John would be completely in the dark about Cecil and Amanda's relationship or Amanda's involvement with Gideon's death and helping Cecil rob Jill's clinic throughout that time period. Yes, I understand that John might be so blind because of his emotions given the entire situation, but he's just not that character. So it's possible that we can interpret it, given John's character and everything that the creative team has told us over the years, that John was the person who knew about this relationship and knew that Amanda was actually helping Cecil at that given moment. He was the one who told Hoffman to write that letter, put it there for Amanda to find and read it before she had to make the ultimate decision with her test in Saw 3. I really think that Hoffman was not really behind this because the whole revelation of the letter doesn't seem to hold as much emotional weight as you would imagine going forward for the series. Hoffman just simply finds the letter. We already know that he's a bad guy. We already know that this person has bastardized the entirety of Jigsaw's mythology, and it wasn't something to make us hate his character anymore. It was just another added twist to give some extra perspective on everything going on in Saw 6. So if Hoffman wrote the letter because John instructed her to, and then when they're talking in Saw 5 and he's telling John, hey, Amanda will fail you, we'll see, we're going to have to interpret that as, you told me to write this letter, she's going to look at this the wrong way and she's not going to follow your orders, and John still has hope that Amanda will actually do that. Of course, There hasn't been an official explanation as to what is going on at this point yet, or whether or not Jon actually knew about this, but given everything we know from the series, Jon's the type of character who would know this and wouldn't let this slip by him. This was always going to be a part of her test, and Hoffman didn't really step in. To me, that's the most logical explanation here, even though in the past I have explained and kind of talked about how I like the idea of Hoffman doing this on his own and going rogue, and even doing his best to frame Amanda. That's the way I've always interpreted it, and I'm going to just stick with my own fan interpretation, as I said at the beginning of this video, that Hoffman is simply a detective who was able to figure out all this stuff and knows more than Jon does, at least in this situation, and he is blackmailing Amanda and the one rigging all the games and making it look like Amanda doesn't understand Jon's philosophy, and just simply having her go down this emotional pit as he's allowing everything to unravel and waiting for Jon to die so he can either pick up the legacy or even just abandon it entirely. So that's the way I, as a fan, like to interpret this. But given everything that we've known from the commentary tracks with the producers, the writers, and the directors of various films, it seems pretty clear to me that Jon's character is the type of person who would know that Amanda had some involvement with Cecil, and he was simply trying to test her in Saw 3 in order to see whether she would follow his orders or she cared more about him than the actual legacy of Jigsaw itself. But really, before I go, I just wanted to say, even though I believe everything I just said, that this is the best explanation to this question based on everything that we've gotten through the movies and everything the writers, directors, and producers have said over the years in the commentary tracks of the movies and also various interviews, that Hoffman did not know about Amanda and Cecil based on his own interpretation or his own investigation from the events in the Saw franchise. In fact, Hoffman was told by Jigsaw to write that letter to Amanda in order to test her and make sure that she was worthy of his legacy. That's not the way I, as a fan, like to interpret it or look at the franchise based on everything I know that was put in every single sequel. So look at this the way that you want. There is no real right answer here, and if you want to look at it differently in order to look at the various characters in the franchise in the best light possible, and something that actually makes it make sense to you, then that's totally fine. I think fandoms in general get too hogtied with the idea that this is canon or this is exactly what happened, that we stop ourselves from actually enjoying the things that we want to enjoy. So whatever the way you want to interpret it, that's completely fine. I'm just saying in this video that I believe that this is the ultimate explanation as to what was going on with Hoffman's letter to Amanda and whether or not Jon actually knew about it. So guys, that's my explanation here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Saw content going forward. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. It's been real.